And there's one guest we haven't introduced yet who's been sitting there patiently, and that's Edouard. Edouard, thank you so much for being here with us today. Can you just quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. It's like the first time I'm doing like the 24 hours of chaos, so it's a pleasure. I'm Edouard Calemard, and I'm working as a generalist for the moment, as a freelance for Goodbye Kansas, London. I moved like recently from Sweden.
Very cool. Thank you. And we're actually going to kick off with a panel discussion first. And the topic for our discussion is education. So, Edouard, you are actually a relatively recent ArtFx alumni, right? So, yeah. Could you talk a little bit more about ArtFx? What is ArtFx? Where are they? Yeah, tell us more about it.
Yeah, ArtFx is like a French school based in Montpellier. They're growing right now, so I think they're in Paris as well. But I haven't followed that, so I don't want to give wrong informations. But ArtFx is like a super great school. It's a VFX one, so they're doing like animation VFX, but they're also teaching like how to handle camera, photography, and movie writing and stuff like that.
Oh, that's very cool. So, so when you were there, did you do? What was your role? Did you work? Were you a director, or how did that work?
Okay, so when you start the school, there is a first year that is called Prépa, where you're gonna start handling sculpting and drawing. So it's only gonna be that. You're not gonna touch computer at all. And then it's gonna second year, you're gonna be introduced to Photoshop and all sort of new software like Nuke and probably Maya or Houdini. And during the third and the fourth year, you're gonna specialize in some areas. I did specialize in comp and CG, but you can choose animation, or you can choose DMP and all sort of stuff. And then during the fifth year, because there is 5 years of studies, you're making a movie with a team. So you choose a pitch that you like, and then they select a team, and they the team is gonna try to finish the movie, or they're gonna have to finish the movie. It's gonna be like a production year.
All right, so you have 1 year to complete this short film.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So that's everything. That's pre-production. That's production. That's the whole pipeline. VFX, everything.
Yeah, it's starting at the end of the fourth years, and during the vacation, you're starting to cast actors, finish to write the movies and stuff like that. And when you start when you're back from vacation, you then start to shoot, and then the post-production is coming after that.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. How big are usually your crews that you work with?
It depends of the year, I think. Mine was a super small class. So we were 6 in our movie, 6 people on the movie full time. But we also have specialist students. They're freelance, but inside of the school, and they're helping out with some DMPs for some of the special shots. Or we didn't have an animator or a rigger on our movie, so we had the freelance rig and the animator, for example.
Oh, that's interesting. And then at the once you've completed your short film, has it ever happened that somebody hasn't completed their short film? Does it mean you fail?
No, usually they spot that before the end. It can happen that movie doesn't go through all the year. At one point they're gonna be we were not gonna have the time to finish that because it's late during the year. So this is the case where they have to rather split the students in between teams, or make them specialists for so they could help the other teams.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right, that makes sense, and that's good that you also don't automatically fail. That would be a shame.
If you made it to the 5th year, you can't really fail.
Okay, that's good.
Before that, it's really hard. The 5th year is really hard as well. But when you're on the 5th year, usually this is you're gonna make a movie, or you're gonna have a demo reel at the end of the year to show to the studios.
Well, that's good. Here's a silly question for you. Do I speak French at ArtFx or English?
When I was there, they were starting to do the international class, and I think right now they do. So, but that might be on the website. I think they do.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
All right. So yeah, because I'm wondering if if there is if somebody like an international student would want to come to France and study at ArtFx, I'm like, do you have to know French?
No, I hope not.
So
Not for, like, if someone wants to go there, I think they have an international class. I watched like some breakdowns during the few, like, because I'm out since a few years, like 5 or 4. So I don't know how it changed, but I watched some breakdowns and stuff like that, and I can see that students speak English in the teams. So I am pretty sure that now there is an international class.
okay, that's cool. We actually got a question from the audience, so I'm going to ask you that.
Yes.
So the question is, we're getting more and more choices when it comes to formal education within the CG industry. What made you choose ArtFx and not any other school? Like, what compelled you to go to ArtFx?
Yeah, that's like I watched one of the movies when I was like before school. I was like making movies with friends, and we watched this like breakdown and movie, and I was thinking it was a studio, but then I realized it was a school. And like ArtFx is one of the only school in France that actually do VFX. It's not only CG. Like, you're actually shooting and writing stories, and then you have to integrate the CG or not, or no CG at all if you want to do only comp, nuke, and projection. So it's like, it's a question of choice of what do you want to do, and how is the school reputation as well, and of course the price of the school, because this can cost a lot. So it's a question of like, what do you want to do? Like, if you want to do animation, I would recommend to do a CG school and not the VFX one, because like VFX one is like, you're gonna have knowledge that can be useless for. There is no like useless knowledge, but maybe like you're gonna learn stuff that you don't want to use or you don't want to do. But yeah, ArtFx was like, I had a super good reputation, and the videos were super good. So that was like my main choice regarding that.
Yeah, and actually, I can agree with that because I was a judge on the Rookie Awards this year, and I
Nice.
saw the videos that ArtFx students. I use that term loosely because the quality was amazing. Yeah, and that made me reach out to you guys for this show because I was very impressed.
Yeah,
Impressed.
don't hesitate when you're looking for a school to watch what is going out of the school. Like, you can like spy on the people on Vimeo if you have names, just to look at what is going out, and if you think it's like good, and if you want to do the same kind of stuff. I'm spying on a lot of people on Vimeo, so yeah, like, don't hesitate to do that, and like watch what the school is doing before subscribing as well. Or you can even talk to people on LinkedIn and stuff like that. Like, usually people in the industry are super kind, and they can like reply to you and tell you what to do or what they think about the school. I had this, I did receive message on LinkedIn by people who wanted to do ArtFx and asking question. And I usually reply to that on LinkedIn super quickly.
Oh, that's awesome. We have another question from the audience.
Yeah.
This one is formal education necessary to become a CG professional? If so, what's more valuable, the hard technical skills or the opportunity to network with industry peers face to face?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good question. I think it's depend of everybody as well, on anybody as well. Like, you don't necessarily have to do CG school to become a CG artist, but this is opening a lot of door to do that. Like, I don't know, like the teacher you're going to meet and the people you're going to work with during the school, they're going to be able to recommend you on the studios, or they might be in contact with people already in studios and say like, oh, this one is good, or like this one is good for doing water or projection or comp, take him. That's going to play a lot. If you want to go out of the school system, that's fine, but I think it might take longer for you to handle in the same position. Like, if you want to be like a mid or a senior, it's gonna take probably longer. This is how I feel about it, but it depends on the people. If you're like super skilled and super curious, and you're doing like a super good demo reel on the internet, you might be spotted by someone, but this is gonna be luck, I think. School is like, if you made it through the school, which is also hard because this is taking a lot of time and patience, then you might have a job out of the box, and a good one. So yeah.
Yeah, I think agree with that actually. I think going to like a formal education is almost a bit of a fast track in a way, because you have, you know, your classmates also who can hopefully they get jobs and then they can recommend you. Now you can still do that on your own, but then I would actually recommend, you know, go to conferences, go to conventions, go to participate in online competitions, so you can build that social network and you can you know, get build a name for yourself and get noticed by recruiters that way. So I think both ways are possible. You might just have to you have to be a little bit more proactive if you don't go to a formal school.
Yeah, definitely, and be curious. Watch like a lot of tons of stuff, because like it's good to reproduce what people do in tutorial, but if you don't know what you're dealing with, if you're gonna change software, you're not gonna be able to understand how it works. Like technical stuff like Fresnel or roughness, how that like the surface is handling that like in real life, to reproduce that in other software, and not like just like, oh, this dude did that on the tutorial, I'm gonna do the same, because it might not work all the time.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite moments, when you use the exact scientific values and you're like, it still doesn't look right. Why not?
Usually real life doesn't look like, when you look at the sky and you see the hedge on the cloud and you're like, oh, this one is comped.
Yeah, but then when you see it in real life, you're like, oh, nature is messing up. Nature did a bad
I was
AlphaFold.
talking about like real clouds.
I do that every time, and actually post them on Instagram just to you know, be like, nature is not perfect either.
Nope.
Just so you know. But let's talk about, so that was your education part. Let's talk about like, how was it for you getting a job after school? Was that hard?
No, it was super easy. I have been recommended by a teacher. I'm not gonna give the name, but like to another student that went out like a few years before, and the student were like, "Oh, do you think he's good for this company?" And then we had an interview, and after the school, the interview is happening at the end of the school, so every student is having an interview that's guaranteed. When at the end of the 5th year, when you're projecting in the cinema your film, because they're like booking a cinema, like studio around the world are coming, like the studio from Canada, like London, Stockholm, and from everywhere are coming and watching the movies. And just after the movies, you're going to a restaurant and you're doing like speed dating or job dating. And yeah, you have the opportunity to choose the studio you want to see with a wish list, and then you can present to them like what you've done, and and show a bit of your personality as well. So
Okay. You gotta tell me more about that speed dating, that job dating. So is it literally like speed dating? You have like 10 minutes per recruiter, or how does that work? Seriously?
It's something like that. Like you're waiting in like until the studio is ready to date you, and then you go on the table. They're like, "Oh, how are you? This is the card of the studio. Show us your demo reel." And you bring like a phone or an iPad or whatever, or a USB drive if they have a computer, and they like display it, and they're just like talking with you to see what you've done and what are your technical like abilities and stuff like that. And if you can speak English as well, which is pretty important if French people are looking. But if French people are looking, they're not gonna understand, so it's it's fine. Yeah.
That's wow. So what happens then? Like, do they take notes, or do they tell you, oh, we're interested in you, and then do they book you right away, or do they get back to you? Like, how does that work?
It depends. Like
Okay.
some people like wait maybe a week. I think 99% of the promotion got the job, and the other ones had the opportunity, but they didn't took it. They do something else for some reason, because they probably don't want to handle what they've been handling during school. So it's like it's a question of like, yeah, it's a question of like, do you want to take the first job you have, or do you want to wait for the one you wanted to really had in the start and see if they respond as well? Yeah, I had the chance to get the job right away. Like the interviewer came to me at the end and say like because after the day we're doing like a beer after beer with all the recruiters, and they're telling you like, we want you, or just drinking with you. Like, yeah.
That's awesome. We have a couple more questions from the audience. Awesome questions too. I don't even know where to start. Hold on. So let's do this one first. So did you have any CG experience before you applied for ArtFx, or did you start without any?
I was super curious, so I did start with some knowledge, but I didn't do any school before. I was working in a bakery, so yeah. But as a hobby with friends, we were like making movies. We were like super fans of like Star Wars and stuff like that. So we ended up like shooting like movies backward to make us feel like jumping backward and stuff like that. Like and then we like I installed on my first computer After Effects, and then I worked a lot to buy new stuff, like new computers to like learn like 3ds Max and start, and then like yeah, After Effects, Photoshop, and I started like it was a hobby. Yeah.
Awesome. And then one more question is, did your expectation of what life post-graduation would be meet the reality of it?
Oh, that's a good one. I wanted to talk about that. So
Perfect.
yeah, it's like I didn't really know what to expect when I started, and like after school, I was a bit worried that it's gonna be like super stressful and stuff like that. But it ended up like being super much easier than school. Like school is putting you on the like the super stress level production that you're never gonna handle during the like post production of a movie, and like just to try if you can handle that as well. So it's like, yeah, like after the school, I was like worried for a week when I was introduced to my studio and I was starting, and then it was like, so that's it. That's easy and that's fun. Like yeah. So yeah, people are super nice. Like there is like production that is taking over like care of you and making sure that everything's fine and that you have everything. You also have a buddy coming to you in the start and showing you like pipeline and stuff like that, like how the network and how the tools work for the studios. So yeah, this is like super unstressful, and this is one of the things I regret, that they haven't prepared us for that at school, like showing us that it would be like that it would look like that.
Did you have to learn new software on the job, or was it the software you were already familiar with?
No, I had to learn new software. I did learn V-Ray during my first job because I like my first like render engine was Montpellier, and then it became like Arnold during school. And when I started to work for ILP, Important Looking Parrots, that was like yeah, V-Ray for Lost in Space. So yeah, it was super fun. It was a mistake, by the way, because I was supposed to be a comp when they hired me, but they put me in lighting, and I loved it, so I stayed in lighting. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had to learn 3ds Max as well. I came from Maya and had to learn 3ds Max.
I'm not using 3ds Max anymore. That was just before school. Yeah, I don't. I'm not a big fan of 3ds Max, to be honest. But
it has its place. I will say that.
No, yeah, definitely. It had some super good stuff, like modification on above like geometry and stuff like that. It's nice. That I don't know, like so used to Maya and Houdini right now that going back to 3ds Max would be a pain. I think. Also, the axis is not in the right position, like Z up or something like that. I don't want to deal with that thing.
You get used to it. But it gets tricky if you have to keep switching back and forth between Maya and 3ds Max.
Yeah,
but anyway, that's a different discussion altogether.
Yes.
But I think we're down to the last 3 minutes. So cool. There's one more question. Let's do that one, the last question, and then we'll say goodbye, right? Let's do that. Cool.
Let's do that.
All right, so the last question is, what about those who didn't know that VFX might be a career and chose that later on, let's say past 30? A 5-year degree might be too long. Would you still recommend school or learn on the sides?
There is no too late. If you're not happy in your job and you want to do something like VFX, I would say like go for it. I had a friend that changed his like at 30, 35. He was like, yeah, like I don't want to do my job anymore. He quit and he started that, and now he's like happy. So I would say like, yeah, there is no limits of age. I mean, if you're 100 years old, maybe, but before that, if you want to do it, just try.
And I can agree with that because I'm actually one of those. I went back to school full time at 30. So yes, you can do that. And it does pay off. And I'm quite happy. So if that's your dream, then I would say follow your dream if you can somehow make it work.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Cool. I think that's a really nice way to end this, actually. Edouard, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. Yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect.
Do you want to say any last words?
No, thank you. And if you have questions, just go and ask like old or ancient like people from ArtFx. If there is like a lot of people sending message to me, I might not reply to all of them, but like if you have, don't hesitate.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Edouard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.